How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar, and welcome to Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And I have assembled this particular panel to help me talk about the May Marvel solicits for collected editions. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with Oddfell, so Jess can hold that mask up a little bit longer. Hold on. You got to wait until it's your turn, Jess.
Sorry.
Why don't you all introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about yourselves and where people can find you when you're not hanging out with me.
Absolutely. So I'm Oddfell. I'm a cosplayer. I do all kinds of comic book and fantasy costumes, as well as doing occasional toy and statue videos over on my YouTube channel. And I should be Oddfell pretty much everywhere, so definitely check it out at some point.
Okay. And to your right?
Hello, everybody. I am Crisis with a K just about everywhere on the internet, and I write about comics all the darn time on crushingcrisis.com, where I have reading orders to just about the entire Marvel Universe, DC, and indie comics as well. But I really just love talking about all forms of comics, especially collected editions. So I'm very happy to be here with the gang in my exclusive video home on the internet. Awesome. And this is the nice stream, the nice one.
And last but certainly not least is Curtis from the Epic Marvel Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What?
Where are you? Are you driving? Dude, don't be driving and streaming at the same time. That's dangerous.
I'm hands-free. I'm hands-free. It's okay.
Although, if you do get in a wreck, this might be the most popular live stream I've ever had.
Oh, yeah. Can you swerve off into a different direction? Maybe then Omar can write it off as content.
Write him off on my taxes.
I was just thinking, though, that it used to be that you'd have one guest on your live stream. It would just be like you and me, and I'd have to devote my whole, 2.5 hours or whatever it is to be on your live stream. But now it's like Oddfell said, she is running some errands. She might be late. Peter says he has got to check out early to take his kid to school or something, and I got to run some errands right now. It's like we just want to be a part of this event, and we're making it work with our lives. So
you're so sweet, cool. Curtis. Is that your way of apologizing? It's really weird apology for being late. I don't know if I take that.
I got up out of bed early for this stream. So
okay. Well, be careful and jump in anytime, okay?
You bet. Absolutely.
Okay, because I can't imagine you doing this. Okay, be careful. Jump in when you're ready. All right. Okay, now, last but not least, who's the guy up there?
First of all, peace and love to Leslie Ann Sales. Wow, what a nice thing she just said about me. I am Omnidog from Omnidog.
Okay, first of all, how many fake accounts have you built to destroy my name on the internet?
You know that I can't even barely type a response in, so these are all real and unsolicited and from the heart, baby.
You've had to pay people.
Yeah. I'm Omnidog from Omni. See, this isn't the nice stream, Peter. He's jamming me up all the time.
I'm holding a grudge after all the crap I went through with you people.
I can't make Omar be nice. I can only speak for myself.
I'm Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault on YouTube and Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram. And I'm excited to say that if everything goes right, this coming Tuesday, Crisis will be on my channel doing a live reorg of all my X-Men books. And he hasn't seen them ahead of time, so there's chaos guaranteed.
I keep hearing about new books from different years that I didn't even know that Jesse read X-Men from. So I'm like, oh, great, Omnidog, this will be fun.
I don't think he has read them.
I haven't. That's why I need him reorganized so I can pretend to get into them. Yeah.
And he's got the restraining order lifted just for that one day so that I can come onto his channel. It's going to be great.
Steven? You too, Steven? Everybody, what is happening here? Did you all not see his votes for the Evergreen? Omar, can you quickly ask DC a question before you get started, or should I wait after? Just write it in the chat. I asked them many questions. Who knows?
He wanted to ask a DC question.
A DC question? Yeah, ask a DC question. Go ahead. And yes, we are going to be talking about the May Marvel solicits for 2024. These will be available everywhere in, I think, a couple of weeks, probably middle of the month. But David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel were kind enough to send us an early look at the collected editions is what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be looking at the covers, the content, and the prices of these books, and of course the dates when they should come out. You asked DC, how dare you? They've been doing better, right? They've been doing better. I love you all equally. Cash and check. I knew it. I knew that's what it was. I don't see DBC All-Star and Leslie typing at the same time. All right, slightly off topic, but do you know the answer to this DC question? I finally, after 30 years, replaced all my old Preacher trade paperbacks with new Absolute editions. I'm a bit scared that after the release of the first 2 volumes, it's all quiet with Volume 3, and I have only now realized that the old Volume 3 is still in print. The old Volume 3 will have the Vertigo logo. Are you one of those folks that has to have all your books looking the same on the shelf? Is that why you're asking? I'm assuming
that's what it says a little bit later. Yeah.
You know or think they won't be releasing a new Volume 3, and if not, does the old one match the new? No, the old spine has Vertigo at the bottom. I can't imagine that they wouldn't, but then again, they haven't really reprinted Transmetropolitan 2 or 3 yet, right? Or is it 2? They did reprint 2, or are going to.
They've announced
3.
1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, I think they will. They want to get rid of the Vertigo line or stuff. Oh, super sticker. I'm so sorry about that. Elon. This is to help you on your way to moving out of your mom's basement. Thank you for that, Elon. I swear, all these people tell the same joke, Jess. It has to be you. It has to be you.
Sorry. My legion of fans is just interested in you and your mom's
legion
basement.
Of fans. Oh my! Do you all see what you're doing to this man?
There are dozens.
I just can't believe that was a year ago. I think it was our Omnibus stream. Someone said that was a year ago that we first made that joke, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
How time flies. I totally thought I've seen Preacher Volume 3 with a DC spine. Could be, but the original printing had the Vertigo logo at the bottom. Is Marvel discontinuing the OHCs of Wolverine by Percy too? I don't think so. I think that and X-Force are the 2 that are going to continue.
What, and Avengers by Jason Aaron or not?
I was just answering from the Krakoa era. Avengers by Jason Aaron has another OHC coming. The Reckoning War is going to finish out Fantastic Four by Dan Slott. But the one that I know for sure that is not continuing is Daredevil and Elektra in OHC format.
Thank you very little.
Well, I mean, what you could do is, if you have the original 3, just get the second omnibus. I'll make fun of you for having Volume 2 of an omnibus and 3 oversized hardcovers. Just the next time
I'm going to keep. I'll give you even more ammunition. I'm going to keep all 4 because I like how good they look, and I'll get the omnibus.
There's your cousin again, Ryan Bragg, Team Omni Dog, of course.
My nephew, not.
Whatever. My copy of Absolute Preacher 3 has the DC logo on the spine. I bought it a little over a year ago. So there you go. Maybe they restocked it with the DC logo at the bottom.
Stealth reprint.
That's what they do. Hey, Omar, is there any chance of a reprint of Thor Volume 2 by Stan Lee this or next year? Not this year, but here in a couple of weeks, you have a chance to have your voice heard because we're going to open up the reprint polls. Here, I have one more book to announce. One more video to announce, and then we can open up the reprint polls. And if you're new to the channel, we do this every year for the last 5. I think this is the 5th year we're doing it, where I let people vote, or you all are free to vote for whatever book Marvel Omnibus you want reprinted, and I send the top 20 over to Marvel. And for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been 19 out of the 20 have been reprinted. So very, very cool. It's not for new books. It's for reprints of books you may have missed. So that's, Taylor wants to do a live video with me and Peter on the reprints. And I thought that might be a fun idea to do, like to kind of go over the books that have been reprinted so many times. And I have a feeling that this is going to be a big Star Wars year for reprints, honestly. Just looking at the books that are out of print. When will be the Epic Collection reprint vote be? That will be a couple weeks after that, because I have to send them over to Marvel around the same time. So it's around March or so. That way they can start filling in some gaps for books that you all have missed. It's really cool. And let me know if anybody's doing this in the realm of Super 7 toys, because I would love to vote for some Super 7 toys that I missed out over the years. For the love of God, some of those things are just so crazy and expensive. Just want that Star Wars Poe Dameron Omnibus. Matt, you only have one person to be angry at, and that is Allison Blair. She's the one that took that book off took it off the list. Here comes Dazzler, baby.
Allison. Do not.
Here comes Dazzler, baby. Who's Poe? Poe who? Omar and Jess, when are you guys going to be dropping your video for what's coming out in February? Jess, you mean? Like
I think it's the highlights of February's collected editions.
I do the entire catalog. I'm a nut. That will be out tomorrow.
I think mine's probably coming out this weekend. I don't think I can do a live stream for it this time. Excuse me. Upper management has requested fewer live streams from me and more chores done around the house. So this is a vote that I can't outvote. This is.
Have you thought about doing freelancing, like freelancing work?
Freelancing chores? I have enough as it is. Yeah.
No.
I don't need to go help some other woman.
Full time and just become a freelancer. That way you don't have a manager at all times and you're your own boss.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't see how I can escape the manager thing. That's
you stay in your basement. Let me tell you something, Jess. You stay in your basement long enough, they'll start to forget about you. Omar, do you know if we're getting any new or reprinted omnibus or absolute for Batman coming? Well, nothing yet because that catalog isn't out yet. That catalog will be out. We're going to start seeing some things probably in February, but all of it should be done by the middle of March. Very fine condition. Thank you so much for your super chat. Oddfell Crisis Omnidog. You all have a great head of hair. Omar, I can spot that rug a mile away. Rug.
Oh, you think he's wearing a rug?
Boy, when you all run out of jokes, you just start coming up with some BS, huh? Did I suffer enough the last time I was with these fools? All right. Talk about some Marvel comics. We're going to be looking at the solicits, and I like to always stress that just because it says May does not mean that these books will be released in May. Usually means that they're just solicited where people can go ahead and pre-order. Retailers mainly will pre-order. Dog, how could you not have a cleaning purse? Okay, I have to ask. Yeah, I think he does. What's her name? Guadalupe or something?
Me and Patty. No, I don't. Guadalupe. That is so racist. How dare you?
You're the one that told me that was her name, you jerk.
Guadalupe. Right. Guadalupe. What? That is definitely not. I do not know anyone named Guadalupe.
Question.
Nor do I write a check to anyone.
If we fuse Omar and Omnidog, would that make Omar Dog? Yes, it would. All right. So the first book we're going to be talking about is the Godzilla, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, with 3 different covers. Both of the classic covers, the DM covers, are by Herb Trimpe, and then the new cover is so freaking awesome. This is the standard edition cover. This is the one that's going to be available everywhere.
Whoa, that is a great cover.
It's Godzilla, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, and collecting issues 1 through 24, 440 pages, $100. So these 2 by Herb are in direct market.
And that's the one that's going to appear everywhere else.
Yeah, this is the one you can get everywhere. Mm-hmm.
That's a boss cover.
And we've talked a little bit about the contents before. It's a fun read. It used to be only available in Essentials. That's basically just Godzilla destroys the Marvel universe, and everybody, comes. It's in continuity at the time in the late 70s. Everybody appears. The Avengers fight him. So it's one of these great lost chapters that previously was lost media of the Marvel universe, and now it's back. And so I 100% am going to be buying it because I love the stories, and I can't wait to see them reprinted in color.
Well, you're the one that talked me into getting the Phoenix omnibuses, so I'll think about this.
Yeah, are we getting close to a sellout on those yet, Omar? Sellout on Phoenix?
I'm not talking to any of you people.
I don't know. I think we boosted those numbers.
I think you boosted.
I think you might be right.
I do love the fact that they mentioned Red Ronin because this is where he first appears, and I forgot there was that whole thing with the champions in this too. And I don't think I've ever read the fight with the Devil Dinosaur. I don't remember that. I had the Essential, but yeah, the Essential was the only way to get it, and now it's coming out in full color. And Spider-Man by Michelini and Larson Omnibus. This is the reprint with both covers by Eric Larson. That direct market cover though with Venom. It's got a funny story about that. Like he never liked the character of Venom. He thought it was so stupid. So he drew him as stupid as possible. And it kind of caught on. Like people started Bagley kind of took that and a little bit of what McFarlane did and gave him the long tongue and those weird jagged teeth. So collecting Amazing Spider-Man 287, 324, 327, 329, and 350 Spider-Man. Adjective list 15, 18, 21 through 23, but not the backup stories. Amazing Spider-Man 19 through 21, and then Marvel Comics presents 48 through 50, and Spider-Man adjective list 19 through 20. This is I want to say this is the second time that it's been printed. It's had a previous printing, and you all voted for this one. It doesn't have the cover, though, that the first printing had. They chose 2 new covers for this one. And this has one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man stories, and that is the Revenge of the Sinister Six. That was just so much fun. And part of the reason why I just continued buying Savage Dragon, because he just made comics really fun.
I remember picking those up from the comic store off the shelf.
It was just like, we talk about how nowadays, reviewers just tear down comic books. But I just remember like the Incredible Hulk joining the fight against the Sinister Six, and in his excuse, what he had lost his frisbee, and that's all you needed to know to go and team up with Spider-Man against the Sinister Six. So I thought that was really cool, a really cool time for Spider-Man.
Lost his frisbee.
That was his excuse. Oh, and I love the way Larson drew Hulk too. Spider-Man: The Complete Black Costume Saga Omnibus. So collecting Amazing Spider-Man 252 to 263, annual 18. I think people were asking me if they were going to add that in there. But it is now. Aaron, are you in here? Let me see. My buddy Aaron would know because he was asking me about it. Marvel Team Up 141 to 150 and annual number 7. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man 90 to 100, annual number 4, and Web of Spider-Man number 1, which is that cover right there, which is the cover. Nothing wrong with this one over here. It's a phenomenal cover by Ron Friends, but that Charles Vess cover is just freaking awesome. It's
just so nice to see this all in one place in an omnibus. It's like, if we keep teasing that maybe we're going to do a Spider-Man Evergreen. Certainly, if there's a top 5 really fun Spider-Man stories to read, this is probably in the top 5. I don't know. Don't mean to spoil my choices, but what a fun 80s Spider-Man omnibus this is.
I'm writing that down so I can steal it.
The big question with this one though is when we get to Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 8, how much of a double dip will it be?
Full double dip.
Yeah, they're
gonna take a bite off that chip and put the chip right back into the guacamole in front of everybody.
Good reference.
I mean, in reality, by the way, it's $125, 992 pages. In reality, I think it will contain all of Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know if it will contain all of Team Up, all of Spectacular. Maybe some of the material from that era. Thank you so much, Jorge. Yeah, remember to hit that like button, please. We need a slot Spider-Man. I mean, seriously, which is crazy. Because I remember when people were just hating on Slot's run. Now people want it, which is great. Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 6. We don't know how that will be mapped. But that one, I don't think it will take us all the way to the Roger Stern era, to the Roger Stern Omnibus. And Psycho Cleveland just like pointing at himself.
Yeah, he had a previous comment. Just so you know, have you noticed Peter M in the chat just whipping up a frenzy?
I don't know how he can keep up with the chat and then carry a conversation. He's looking at me as he's typing. Like How are you doing that, Peter? Maybe he's also got bots. You got some ChatGPT bots?
Yeah, I'm actually just I'm operated by AI. This is all just a sample of previous things I've said on the show. If you just see me from the waist down, it's just like a bunch of little spider legs wheeling me around.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So let's see. Let's keep. Oh, actually, there's a really good question. Where did I see it?
It was Peter saying something nice about me, so I know you're not going to highlight that.
No, it was about the AI would help explain that evergreen list.
Oh, what?
Fact. No, it was about if it contained. Dang it! Where did I see it? Okay. It was asking if it contained the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. And that would be Web of Spider-Man 31 through 32 and Amazing Spider-Man 293 to 294. So no, this does not contain that. Thor by Donny Cates and Nick Klein Omnibus. Collecting Thor 1 through 35, Hulk versus Thor Banner of War Alpha, and Hulk 7 through 8. Thanos Death Notes and the material from Thor Annual Number 1 and Thor Annual Number 1 from 2023. 1,040 pages, $125. And it's interesting that there's enough material for this. Like they made it so big. I had no idea it was over 1,000 pages.
Yeah, I knew how many issues there were, but I was kind of like, whoa, that's a pretty big one for a modern omnibus.
Well, like compared to his Hulk Omnibus, the one by Ryan
only
Ottley.
14 issues.
Yeah,
annual.
This is so much bigger. I didn't know he had that much of a head start. I for some reason I thought they had started around the same time.
It's a great run, y'all. Like, it's so much fun. It's not Aaron. Nothing's going to be Aaron again. But Thor's developing one of those characters where, like, there's always somebody taking a great swing at it. And it's just fun. Cates does some cool stuff with Thor kind of sitting down and leaning into being the All-Father. The art is gorgeous. Not only Nick Klein. Honestly, if I had my druthers, there would be two more names on that spine. One would be our good friend, Torun Grumback. I don't know if I'm saying their name correctly, because Torun's issues at the end were amazing. But also Matthew Wilson absolutely.
Oh, the colors,
the tone.
He's been the colors.
It's not a Thor comic without Matthew Wilson colors. So if there's ever a colorist that needs to be on the spine of an omnibus other than Laura Allred, it is probably Matthew Wilson.
I'm excited to get this.
Yeah, Kate's Thor was phenomenal.
Matthew Wilson has been on Thor for, oh my gosh, since those early days of Jason Aaron. So he's been at it for a long time. He
defines the look. That textured color, although a couple people, speaking about the next omnibus, a couple of other colorists are taking up that really textured, layered, physical-looking color style, and I love it.
But yeah, somebody else had mentioned that Torun should have been on the spine. And I think it just becomes...
where did she take over?
Late
towards the end of the run. Like, Donny Cates left. When I interviewed her, she said that Donny Cates had left her pretty much the plot, right? And she kind of got to wrap it up. The issue with that is, I don't know how you determine who goes on the spine. We have a Claremont or X-Men by Claremont and Jim Lee, but Mark Silvestri drew more issues than Jim Lee in those. But then again, it's Jim Lee, so you go with the name, right? Who knows? I would love to see her Valkyrie collected. Moon Knight by Jed McKay Omnibus.
Yes.
So good.
Moon Knight 1 through 30, Devil's Reign, Moon Knight Annual Number 1, and material from Moon Knight Annual Number 1 from 2023, and Avengers 45, 832 pages, $100. And oh my gosh, that Capullo cover. That's the standard cover. Even though I know he didn't do any of the internal artwork, but I've always been a Capullo fanboy.
This was just such a spectacular run, honestly. Like, it was good from beginning to end.
I enjoyed it, and it leads into the Vengeance of Moon Knight, which he is currently writing, and I hope that's that it goes on for 30-something issues, so we could have a Vengeance of Moon Knight by Jed McKay Omnibus. That would be cool, like a follow-up to this.
I love this run too, and you're welcome because I bought all the trades. So,
oh, is this the one that Omar said we're going to get an omnibus where you bought all the trades?
I'm pretty sure he texted me. He's like, "Hey, do you think there's a chance that there's a Moon Knight Jed McKay Omnibus?" And I had just gotten the list from David, and I said, "No, Jess, there's not a chance." Going by all the trade paperbacks. And then I announced it the following week, and that's how. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that to him. Couldn't say anything. I signed an NDA.
Yeah.
I did not text that to you. Did I? I don't remember that.
You text me a lot of what you should purchase. And I'm pretty sure I remember in the years that we've been friends that you have texted me the same book twice in about 3-year span. And I'm like, and it's funny because I'm like, I thought I was going crazy thinking, did I have this conversation with you already? And I look back at our chat. I'm like, oh my God, we had the exact same conversation 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, Jess. I know. Peter, you will remember this. When Marvel was releasing the Ed Brubaker, Daredevil, and Captain America, he was currently writing the book. So those omnis were coming out as he was writing the stories.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that they're doing here too? That could be a like, oh, we're gonna have like this book right here that's gonna collect 30+ issues, and maybe he'll leave, 15 issues later, and that omnibus will be 15 issues. Do you think they should have waited, or do you think like? I'd like to know your thoughts on this because you've been in the omnibus game for a while and you know about these things.
Yeah, I would say that, and again, this is just with a prognosticator hat on. Anytime I speak really confidently, I'm not Omar. I have no inside track. I just pay a lot of attention to the data and the trends of what's coming out. It feels like the vast amount of affection and excitement for some of these current runs that are like really, really hot and beloved is maybe pushing Marvel to get the needle a little bit closer to the actual release of the runs with the omnibus. I mean, this is literally being solicited the month or two after the final issue was out. We saw with the Chip Zdarsky omnibus how hard people were beating the drum for like, are we going to get this in omnibus? Are we going to get this in omnibus? I have a gut feeling that this is Marvel like kind of testing the waters to see, can we do this with a really recent run the same way we do with events? Because in the past couple of years, the event omnis come out like clockwork now, which we all love, right? So like, if you really love this Moon Knight, or if you're really interested in this Moon Knight, Marvel, I think, is rolling the dice here to say, okay, well then buy it all in one shot off the shelf and let's see how it goes. Plus, it doesn't hurt to have a modern Moon Knight omnibus that's super accessible, given, the state of Marvel's media empire at the moment. But, same for Thor Cates, honestly. I mean, that only ended 6 or 7 months ago. So these are coming out briskly. But I hear you, like the idea of like omnibuses coming out mid-run. I know nothing, but I can't imagine that Vengeance of Moon Knight series being like a 4-issue wrap-up. I don't know if it's been solicited as an ongoing or not. Ophel, have you been reading I haven't read the first issue yet of the continuation. Have you read it?
I haven't picked up Vengeance yet, no. But I did finally catch up on this one. And I feel like they can't wrap it in a miniseries. There's still too many loose threads.
Well, when I got to talk to Jed McKay at New York Comic Con, I told him about this book. I was like, hey, by the way, because we were both drinking. And he said, that's awesome, man. And I said, I know you're writing a follow-up. And he's like, yeah, I've got a lot more. So he was like, that run just kind of warmed me up. This Vengeance of Moon Knight run is the one that he's hoping to be on for a while. So I'm hoping it's not like the case of what was the one that recently happened? It was the Star Wars book. Oh, Dr. Aphra by Alyssa Wong, right? Like the first omnibus or the volume 2 goes all the way to issue 25. And I think they only went all the way to 40, right? So 15 issues. I don't know if they'll make that into an omnibus or not. It's an ongoing. Thank you so much, Freddie. Solicited number 4 right now, not being marketed as finale, so hoping it's a bit longer. Captain America, the reprint of Omnibus Volume 2 is coming out. Collecting the classic Captain America 114 to 148. You have the Carlos Pacheco cover here. and then the direct market here on the right-hand side, that's the one by John Romita Sr. And $100, 824 pages. This one has only had one print run, and they decided to reprint it as a volume 2, or the volume 2, and then volume 4 is going to replace the Jack Kirby Omnibus, that Mad Bomb reprint. Marvel Masterworks Ghost Rider Volume 6 coming out in September, collecting Ghost Rider 63 to 73 and Avengers 214, 304 pages, $75. Think we'll need just one more to wrap up that run.
I was just going to say we're close.
Yeah, and then maybe we can get a couple of Omnis, like 2.
2 would be
Two
perfect.
Two Omnis. Loki, the Marvel Studios Loki Season 2, The Art of Series, 224 pages, $60. The NYX Gallery Edition. I got to talk a little bit about this one on Saturday because people kept asking, is there more gallery editions? So this is a really interesting choice. This collects NYX 1 through 7 and NYX No Way Home 1 through 6, 392 pages, explicit content. It's part of the reason why it was not in the X23 Omnibus. So, we've already had a oversized hardcover of this release. It's pretty much the exact same content as... No, I'm sorry. This collects NYX 1 through 7 and X23, the first miniseries. So it has been released in an oversized hardcover. That second series, the No Way Home, has only been released in a standard size hardcover. This is a really interesting choice for a gallery edition, which means to me that, anything could really be a gallery edition. Because this is part of that era where they were bringing in Laura into the Marvel Universe. And they made her a lady of the evening, an underage lady of the evening. So it was very controversial for the time. Now, of
Especially
course,
since she was from a cartoon.
Yeah.
very, very interesting way to bring her in. Then, of course, a lot of that stuff got retconned when she showed up in Uncanny X-Men. And then by the time that Colin Yost took over the series, because that's their baby, they kind of rewrote her history a little bit.
Yeah, I can't say that I recommend this to X23 fans. It's interesting in its own right. But it's really hard for me to say that fans of Laura should read this one. I don't know, Odafel.
I have mixed feelings. I feel like it's definitely a product of its time. It feels like one of those kind of early 2000s shock value adult comics at times.
Trouble.
And it's good. It has good story beats, but it does feel like sometimes some of it's for shock value, and I do think they've done more interesting things with Laura and more recent stuff. But it is neat to, read her first appearance in the Marvel Universe. So it's one of those okay.
It does have beautiful artwork by Josh
It
Milton.
does.
Absolutely stunning artwork. And unfortunately, he couldn't finish the series. I think he only went to issue number 4 and a little bit of 5. And I can't remember, was it Robert Teranishi that took over the run? Had a very similar style. Sarah Pichelli did the second series, if I'm not mistaken, the NYX No Way Home. Then that's the one that's written by Marjorie Liu. But regardless, 392 pages, $50. And I do remember liking Marjorie Liu's era of NYX. And at the time, Marjorie Liu was also writing Astonishing X-Men. Star Wars The High Republic Phase 3. Whoa, we're on Phase 3 already. Goodness. I think that's what they were going to do, was 3 phases, if I'm not mistaken, of this era. Collecting Star Wars The High Republic 1 through 4, the 2023 series, and the material from Star Wars Revelations. $15.99, 112 pages. The Phoenix Omnibus Volume 1 part of these solicitations asking for... Why must we bring up those things? Why must we bring up the past?
That famous evergreen title.
Phoenix. Venom. All right.
Cover
Venom by Al
cool.
Ewing, Volume 6. but really by Torunn Grumbeck, because she is setting up the new Venom without going into spoilers. That don't read the don't read the solicit if you don't want to know who the new Venom is going to be. Collecting Venom 26 through 30, 112 pages, $15.99. I think Peter's the only one that's been caught up with this series. So at first I wasn't digging this series at all. I thought the Ram B and the Al Ewing series was a bit of a disjointed mess. Like it didn't feel like these writers were even writing the same story. Then when Ram B took a step back and Al Ewing was just doing Ewing things, I was like, oh my gosh, he is making Peter, are you caught up on this?
I'm like halfway through. I think I'm at like 27. I fell asleep with it on my laptop on my face last night reading it.
Oh, wait. So you're already on 20. You said 27?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've already read the issues that like tie into Excalibur, right? Like issues where the portals are opening up and these. I was like, what? Al Ewing has read.
This is one of the wildest, like crazy time travel loops, Jeremy Buramy stuff that I think I've ever seen in a Marvel comic, at least recently. It's really 25. If you want to read one that really gives you the tone of the series, issue 25 is like a big anniversary jam issue. It has great art. Ken Lashley, Cafu are on it. And it's Venom and Dr. Doom kind of falling through time. And it's like, you think to yourself, Venom and Dr. Doom, that is really two flavors that are strange together. But much like chocolate and orange, actually, it tastes really good. And just watching Dr. Doom be his arch Doom self, and then Venom kind of just falling through time, you kind of get a sense of what the vibe is for the series. And if you dig that, which at this point, it's on Marvel Unlimited, it's more than 3 months old. If you dig that, you'd probably actually dig the whole series.
It really picked up for me, and I don't know what they're building up Eddie Brock and Venom to be, but man, I don't know. It was really good. Like it became one of my titles. I was like, oh, it's another Venom book I got to read. To, oh man, this is good. Can't wait to read the next one. Spider-Woman by Steve Fox, Gang War. This is collecting issues of Spider-Woman 1 through 5, and then material from Amazing Spider-Man 31. 136 pages, $17.99. This is all part of the Gang War tie-in then? Corolla Borelli. So is this a mini-series?
I don't know if it's solicited to continue, but it's definitely very, very tied into Gang War. Steve Fox definitely gets her voice really well. The art's kind of like bright and shiny. It's a little decompressed. I think in issue 2, I think there's like 8 pages of her infiltrating an office building, just like she's crawling up the side, she's in the window, she's in the air ducts, and I'm like, okay, chop people. If we've only got 5 issues, it just gets her. Let's get it on. But Fox has got a great voice for her, and this kind of sort of spins out of the Dan Slott and Bagley Spider-Man adjectiveless run in 2022, the kind of sequeled original Dan Slott's original Spider-Verse. There was some kind of web of life tomfoolery in there, which I don't want to give spoilers, but certainly affected Jessica Drew. And Steve Fox picks up right from that at the beginning of this.
What else has Steve Fox written?
Dark X-Men, which we're going to talk about with Oddfall in just a few minutes.
Is there a way that could be spoiler-free somehow?
I'll be as spoiler-free as I can.
Here it is. Okay. No, I'll forget about it anyway. Just go ahead.
You'll be texting me 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Hey, have you heard of this Dark X-Men?
Yeah. Are they dark or what's happening?
Dark X-Men. So this collects 5 issues, miniseries, and then material from Marvel Voices Pride. Who we got here? Oh my gosh, they brought Nightcrawler's daddy back, or that guy back.
He's in it. They've got Zero in it. They've got Maggot in it for a brief couple issues. Archangel Gambit. There's an appearance from one of the children from Children of Adam. It's a really interesting team comp. I think Krakoa is just in a very weird era, and even though I think it hits on a lot of Maddie's story and complexities, interestingly, like kind of like what Crisis was saying about Spider-Woman, like Fox gets Maddie's voice really well. But there's just a lot of stuff happening around the story that it feels like Krakoa right now kind of feels like when an author's at the end of a run and they're kind of just doing whatever to get to the finish line. There's a lot of those moments in this, I feel like, personally. Like, I feel like they do Havoc extremely dirty in this run, personally. But it does have its good moments, and if you like Madeline Pryor, it's definitely worth checking out.
How do they treat my boy Albert there? Get some good.
To be skirting around the edge of spoilers, he's not Albert for most of it, so
What? Okay. I haven't read it yet.
I will co-sign all of that, but to which I would add, I definitely felt like Fox. Well, I love Steve Fox's writing. I am pro more Steve Fox at Marvel.
What has Steve Fox done besides?
I know him. He wrote an OGN. I want to say, was it Spider-Ham or Miles that I got for my kid? And then I was like, oh, he's pretty good. And then, but here's what I'll say to add to what Ophel said. It felt like Fox must have come in hot and been like, I could pitch you 45 issues of this series. And they're like, well, you've got 5. And so Fox, every issue just has so much stuff. Concepts, a different mutant, a different guest star, like it really feels. I did not feel like this was decompressed. I felt like woo by the time I was done reading these 5 issues. And I want to have fun reading X-Men. I'm not telling you it's my favorite of the X-Men miniseries last year, but I had fun, and Fox voiced Maddie well, and I want to see more Steve Fox X-Men comics.
So there's only 5 issues to this Dark X-Men, and then it's on to something else.
All of the X-Men books that launched anew in 2023 were all 4 and 5 issue miniseries. Only the books that already existed were ongoing. So Immortal, Red, the main X-Men, X-Force, Wolverine, they were the ones that were ongoing, and everything else was just short runs.
Yeah, like kind of hopping off that. Yeah, like kind of hopping off that. Like I would love to see more of this team with this writer, but I absolutely agree. Like it's so much happens. You don't have a lot to process between pages and what happens, but I want more of this team. That would be cool. I just don't really know what they're doing with X titles right now.
And Steve Fox is writing the new Dead X-Men series, which first issue out, I believe, yesterday. So maybe there's some little hints of this still happening in there. I cannot wait to pick it up.
Dead X-Men. That's what Max was texting me about that he liked so much. I was confusing it with this Dark X-Men. Dead, Dark.
It's the same writer.
Yeah. Okay. Max said that it was real. That first issue was really good, but
James, the same thing could be said about One Piece. You've been holding on to One Piece for over 100 volumes.
One Piece
have been introduced to. Who's Luffy's mommy? We still don't know. All right.
Who the heck is
Uncanny X, Jess. Uncanny Spider-Man Fall of X. Collecting Uncanny Spider-Man 1 through 5 and X-Men Blue Origins. 184 pages, $24.99. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a follow-up to Cy Spurrier's series, right? The Legion of X?
It is a direct sequel to all the Cy Spurrier stuff, including kind of where Nightcrawler fell out of that post Sins of Sinister. Yes. Ophel, did you read this one yet?
I did, and some of the story beats they've done with this are so interesting. I'm very for it.
I love this. I mean, this is a full-on Crisis recommendation, not just saying nice things because I'm trying to find readers for it. This was my favorite X-Men book of 2023. Spurrier finally felt the beats of Nightcrawler. It's funny, it's fun, it's sexy. It has Silver Sable, who I love. The X-Men Blue Origins kind of slots in perfectly between issues 3 and 4 to give the full definitive Mystique origin. I loved that. It looks good. Lee Garbett is an amazing
I'm a big
artist.
fan of Lee Garbett.
It's just nothing but fun. Like he's dressed as Spider-Man on the cover to sell it to you, but it's really this idea of what if Nightcrawler was just trying to have fun the way he used to when he did, what is that, Uncanny X-Men 204, Omar, where he has the convertible and he saves the girl who's a princess from another dimension, and they're driving and
oh my gosh, Tim Brinkman did the artwork. No, it's not 206. I think it's 204. 204. It's 204.
Yeah, it's that as a 5-issue series. I'm so happy you like the Ophel. I didn't want to be out there on my own.
No, it's good because I was hesitant to pick it up because I'm like, I don't know how I'll feel about it. But you said, I feel like Spider-Man is just to get people to pick it up additionally because it really is a just solid Kurt book.
Well, I've been enjoying his Cy Spurrier's X-Men again. The Legion of X series was a lot of fun. I will say it can get a little confusing just the way that Cy Spurrier writes. You kind of just got to get thrown in there and you got to enjoy that madness. So if you haven't read a Cy Spurrier book, I'm trying to think.
Good luck with that.
Especially if you're just used to X-Men, it might be a little confusing if you haven't read a Cy Spurrier X-Men book or a Cy Spurrier book to begin with. I'm a big fan.
I love his writing.
Although he kind of he gets a little gets to be a little too much when he starts creating his own languages, especially in his independent books. What are you
Once
trying
upon
to
a
say?
time, I had a fascinating discussion, Jess, with somebody about why they like Spurrier, and I have trouble with him sometimes. And it came down to that a lot of times he writes dialogue like it's poetry. He'll skip certain words or phrase things sort of backwards so that it like rolls in a certain way. And I am such a even though I love poetry, I'm a songwriter, but even I'm so literal when I read dialogue in comics that sometimes I'm like, but that doesn't scan. What are they saying? And they're like, you got to just let it go. It's about feel. I don't know. Do you get that? Because since you're somebody who really loves him.
I do get that. I haven't had that problem. I think that I do sort of, I think I let books flow over me more than I take a deep dive into why it is or is not working. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I'm glad at least that your problem with it is just that it's sort of poetry written and not that he fridges women or something every other issue, or like some other writers that we've talked about that you're not into. I'm kind of relieved
off
that
stream, off stream, yeah.
yeah, off screen. I'm kind of relieved that all it is just his poetry writing and not that he's
If you want to read a really fun Cy Spurrier series, he did a Labyrinth series for Boom. I think it was Labyrinth Carnation. That's like a Labyrinth prequel. So adorable, really fun. I think that's where I finally got it. I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. And then when I came back and read him at Marvel again, I was into it because I didn't really understand his X-Men legacy at first with Legion. I was like, what the effing hell is this? Then I came back and I kind of was like, oh.
He's the only guy since pre New 52 that has gotten John Constantine. I feel
breathtaking.
Yeah, right. New 52 and Rebirth were just not good beats on Hellblazer, and
it's hard to do the character of John Constantine.
I think that's what was proved in New 52 and Rebirth until Spurrier came back, and I'm like, finally, somebody gets. You're right. He can be a very difficult because he's got a lot going on in previous stuff, and if you pull the wrong things, it's just gonna fall with a thud. And Spurrier just wrote him so perfectly. I was really happy to see that he's getting back on the book.
I'm glad that
he's back on Hellblazer.
I think I just saw. I'm almost positive I saw that it's an ongoing, or at least.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know when it comes out. I just remember talking to somebody about, yes, finally they're going to give him, because he was heartbroken that he didn't get a chance to keep going on the most recent one that was just 12 issues. And so I'm glad that he's getting a chance to keep going with the character.
Oh, Jess, we're vibing on this episode because I think that had to be one of my favorite runs of the past decade. I'm so happy that you love it.
Says it's pronounced Tyne. Jess got it right. Oh, the only reason I pronounced it Tyne is because of the freaking TV show. All these years has always been John Constantine. I also have friends that still fight for Magneto, even though we've heard it in the cartoons and the movies.
He's a magnet, isn't he?
Are you one of those friends, Peter? Don't get me started.
No.
I only know because I've been beaten up about it so many times in previous live streams.
The Brits, man, they'll come after you.
Yeah.
This Near Mint panel discussion is just top notch. I'm not deeply well versed in comics, but love to be here to hear y'all's discussion and critique. No better channel, no better crew. Oh, thank you so much, The Hobbit Habit. That is
There's a better channel.
Oh, maybe that's one of my New Zealand friends. You know, the Hobbits do live here.
Well, we have a Kentucky Hobbit, and his name is Larry, and he has his own channel too.
All right. Have you read this Insanity?
Speaking of Cy Spurrier confusing, yeah, my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, I understood everything, even though it's all non-linear." But Cy Spurrier threw in some crazy things in the Nightcrawlers issues that she had so many questions for me. So this is Sins of Sinister. It's been previously collected in hardcover format, oversized hardcover format, collecting Sins of Sinister 1, Immoral X-Men 1 through 3, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants 1 through 3, Nightcrawlers 1 through 3, and Sins of Sinister Dominion, 344 pages, $50.
This has to be read. Well, I'm spoiling it for you, Peter, but because this is something you're going to be reorganizing. But this comes like right at the tail, sort of the last quarter of the Krakoa era. You can't just pick this up cold, right? It's in context of the Krakoa era.
First, I want to know if Oatfell read it.
I'm not all the way through Sins of Sinister. I'm still trying to catch up on the events, but I know enough, and I would say I would not suggest this for someone who hasn't read any Krakoa personally.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
but I also haven't finished it, so I don't know.
I think you at the very least, have to read the X Lives of Wolverine and X Deaths of Wolverine.
No, nobody has to read that.
It's important happens in there, Peter. What happens in there.
This is the fun of the many branching directions X-Men. I would say you've got to read Immortal to understand this. But then some people would say you have to read Dugan's X-Men to understand this. There's a reason we're going to name 4 things. I don't want to spoil it. But this is all about the number 4, even though there's only 3 of the series. But one of the 4 is not in it. So the 3 is why there's 3. That's what I'm going to say. It's think of the Age of Apocalypse. Remember, like Legion kills somebody, history changes, and then they all go to the Age of Apocalypse, but finally they get out. It's similar to that. And there's a reason. It's an alternate reality. It goes for 1,000 years. There's a reason it starts and there's a reason it ends. And the reason it starts and ends connects very, very specifically to Kieran Gillen's Uncanny or Immortal X-Men run. And it has an impact line wide in the Hellfire Gala. But you don't have to read it. It's an alternate reality, but much like Age of Apocalypse, certainly it gives you a lot of valuable information.
Okay. But I will say, unlike Age of Apocalypse, though, there is a lot of confusing elements happening here.
Oh, it's confusing as heck.
If you haven't read Immortal X-Men, I think that's one of the most confusing parts about this is the character of Sinister. And I'm only going to say is the forehead piece, right? Like, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
because
it devolves.
You're like, what? What does that mean? And the reason
the last 20 pages are just friggin' crazy wild.
Death and Lives of Wolverine. The reason I said that is because there is a character that appears in here, and who the last time you had seen the character, you were like, okay, without spoiling it, lost their way. Now, in the time in between, it's like, oh no, they're really like on the opposite side of the Angels. So. That's all I will say about this. Sins of Sinister trade paperback. It was a lot of fun. I liked it.
And if you like Gillen doing like hard sci-fi, all 3 of them lean into Ewing, Gillen, and Spurrier lean into doing really hard sci-fi, which they don't always get to do at Marvel. So it's fun for that reason.
Realm of X by Torun Grumbeck, penciled by Diogenes Neves and Bruno Oliveira. 120 pages, $17.99. This is one I haven't read yet because it's out in single issues. Peter, thoughts on this one?
It's okay. I don't know if Grumbeck quite got all the voices, but it's a really fun concept, and it's about as much as I could give you on that one.
Okay. X-Force by Benjamin Percy, Volume 9. Is that a Daniel Acuna? Yeah, Daniel Acuna cover. Collecting X-Force 47 through 50, 112 pages. You know, if I had a bet for which title would make it to issue 50 from the Krakoa era, I did not think X-Force nor Wolverine would be there. But here we are.
And you said
there's only one issue out of that so far, and I just read it last night, and it's definitely going in an interesting direction. X-Force, in a way, throughout this whole era, anybody feel free to argue with me or back me up, it's kind of the X-Men title. Like, Dugan is using X-Men to like drive the plot machine, but if you just want to see mutants dealing with mutant problems, a lot of that is happening in X-Force and has been since 2019.
And that's one of the titles that's getting finished out in OHC, X-Force.
Well, we have. Well, I don't want to be quoted for saying it's going to definitely be coming out, but we do have future volumes, like volumes 4 of Wolverine and volume 4 of X-Force coming out that haven't been solicited yet. Or maybe one of them has, I can't remember. But who knows? I mean, I hope they do. They don't do hardly any oversized hardcovers, as you can see from the
right.
Avengers by Jed McKay, Volume 2, Twilight Dreaming, collecting issue 7 through 11. How do you all feel about his run on Avengers? I read the first trade.
I'm dying to know what you thought of the first trade. I've been wanting to hear.
Okay, so
nobody wants to give them their own answer.
The no, because I know Peter has strong thoughts on
Oh.
everything, so I don't mind going first. I will be honest, like I get excited every time there's a relaunch, no matter who it is, whether it's Bendis or Jason Aaron or Jonathan Hickman. I'm like, ooh, new Avengers, new team. It's stuff we've seen, been there and done, but it's got a new flavor, and it was nice. I actually dug it. I didn't like it as much as his Moon Knight or his Black Cat for the first 6 issues, but it was still good. It was better than Aaron's Phoenix storyline.
And Odell, have you read the first arc?
I have not. The last Avengers book I read was the Phoenix event, and I took a long break. But
the #1 best-selling evergreen. All right, Peter.
Listen, the Avengers Phoenix was not it.
Us Phoenix diehards were not vibing with Aaron on that one. So look,
Yeah.
I've caught up in this week. The first trade, McKay's definitely doing a authority riff here, no doubt in my mind. And he's dealing with these really big iconic Avengers, and the whole point of the book is they're all so iconic in this cast. But and I love the first arc. I think it was amazing, really fun, intelligent, big. But I think where he's getting trapped is, I don't know if we've seen McKay in a team book before, and he's getting very trapped in like, I'm taking this icon and giving them one challenge and I'm doing a page on it. Now I've picked up another icon and here's another challenge for them and I'm doing a page. Issue 3 was like that. Issue 4 was like that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Like he's getting into a little bit of a trap, I think, where everything is just about like these one-page vignettes of Iron Man against somebody, Scarlet Witch against somebody, and it's starting to get a little bit in a rut, even though individually all the issues are great. So if you want the Avengers big, iconic, fighting things that are like extinction level events, that is the whole point of this run. It looks really great, even though Federico Blee is not one of my favorite colorists at Marvel. He's doing a pretty good job on this one. I got to give credit where due. But it's very epic. It's like the absolute opposite of the goofiness of the Aaron one. It's very authority influenced.
Maybe I'll have to check it out. Dive back into Avengers.
I agree with what you said about it. And I think that's why I enjoyed his Black Cat and his Moon Knight more, because he was just focusing on one character, right? With a supporting cast. But this is like your flagship title with all these characters that everybody loves, that have had their own ongoing series and still have their own ongoing series. But yeah, I can't wait to read it. I liked it, and I can't wait to read more. I'm very excited to read this Thunderbolts World Strike, because A, it's the Thunderbolts, and B, it's Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and I really, really enjoyed their Captain America run. I thought they did an awesome job, and unfortunately, it kind of wrapped up because, well, you've got JMS that's like, I want to write Captain America. What
JMS is knocking at your door with that Babylon 5 cachet.
Yeah,
open the door.
All's forgiven. One more day since past. Never happened. Okay, but I haven't had a chance to read this one. This is collecting Thunderbolts 1 through 4 in the Devil's Reign Winter Soldier storyline.
It's very Winter Soldier. It is. I just read the first issue. I didn't have time to get through number 2. The interior artwork is freaking gorgeous. Really great artwork. It is not your traditional Thunderbolts team. It is Winter Soldier and friends. So as long as you're cool with that, you'll like it. Dodson is not the interior artist. Also, that to me looks like Asrar. Dodson did one of the covers. That's an Asrar cover. Neither of them are the internal artists. But Borges and Leon are killing
it. I'm looking at
Dodson did the cover of one.
I think that's a movie tie-in,
right? You can feel where they're going.
That, and you gotta do what you gotta do. And
can't tell you that I love it yet. I haven't decided. I just know that I really like the art.
Okay, where's Curtis? Dang it, Curtis!
All right, I'm gonna step away for a second, but I'll see y'all soon.
Okay, Hawkeye Modern Era Epic Collection. The Reunion. This is volume 1 of the Hawkeye Modern Era Epics. We got to announce this a few months back, maybe last year sometime. Collecting New Avengers, The Reunion, which was a really fun series. Hawkeye and Mockingbird 1 through 6. The Widowmaker 1 through 4. Hawkeye Blind Spot 1 through 4. Hawkeye and Mockingbird Sketchbook. And the Dark Reign New Nation and Entered the Heroic Age. This is during the time of like after the Avengers Disassemble is when a lot of these books a lot of the miniseries take place. So if you had read Avengers Disassembled and had not read House of M, you might be confused as to how is Hawkeye in his own miniseries. But I really like the New Avengers, the reunion, and the Hawkeye and Mockingbird series was a lot of fun. And that's by Jim McCann and Dwayne Zwerzinski. I'm not sure if you all had read this particular era of Hawkeye or not, but I think it is the way to kick off the modern era because we are right around or post Avengers Disassembled and House of M. Peter, have you read any of this?
Yeah, I mean, you could almost call it the Hawkeye and Mockingbird epic collection because it's all, yeah. It's fun stuff. I mean, McCann had a really good voice for Hawkeye for a while. People forget because of the Fraction run. McCann was the Hawkeye guy. Like he was the go-to, and this is why he was really good at Hawkeye.
480 pages, $44.99.
That's a modern Marvel epic.
And so is this one. This is the Thor Modern Era Epic Collection, reborn from Ragnarok. And we are, speaking of JMS, this is where we're kicking it off with his run on Thor, collecting Fantastic Four 536 to 537, Thor 1 through 12, and 600, and material from Dark Reign to Cabal one shot. 448 pages and $44.99. I do believe that is correct, that this has the same content as the Hawkeye Avenging Archer, because that's the one that I have. But Thor, this is a phenomenal series, and I think this is, of course, the obvious place for a modern epic for Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Because Thor had been missing from the Marvel Universe for a little bit over 3 years. We got a little bit of a tease, but he was written so poorly in Civil War that Marvel was like, wait, that was a robot, not the real Thor. So that's why we got Clor, I think his name, Ragnarok, or whatever they end up calling him. And then JMS, was who? So the story is like, Marvel approached, of course, Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman said no. Then JMS said no. And then Mark Miller. And then JMS said, wait, I'll do it. And that's how we got his run. Now, there were a couple of elements that he borrowed from Neil Gaiman when Neil Gaiman was going to do it. Would have been interesting to see Neil Gaiman write these characters, though. Is
this what's in the omnibus that just came out?
Yes, I thought you didn't like JMS's story. No, I do. You mean Fraction's story?
Oh.
I'm not a fan of Fraction's story, but JMS's, yeah, it's good. Oh my gosh, and beautiful artwork by Olivier Coipel. Right, Jess?
Very good.
Very good. Okay, Jess approves. He's my go-to French dude. $44.99, 448 pages. New X-Men. This is where things are going to get interesting when we have this era of X-Men and modern epic collection, because this is something Curtis and I have discussed, but we haven't had a chance to talk to you about this, Peter. So New X-Men Modern Era Epic Collection, E is for Extinction, collecting New X-Men 114 and 126, annual 2001, which is the landscape annual where you have to, it was like a long format, but this, will be just printed like it was in the trades. 376 pages, $44.99. So I assume, and when Curtis and I talked about how they're mapping X-Men, it seems to be really interesting how the X-Men epics are mapped, because it seems like they're just putting Adjectiveless X-Men and Uncanny together and just going by story arcs, like one story arc leading into the X-Men story arc and the X-Men story arc leading into the Uncanny story arc. But we knew we were going to get a modern era, and this is when it gets interesting because you split up the era. You got New X-Men era, and then you have Astonishing X-Men, and I assume you'll have the Uncanny era. But New X-Men is going to be very interesting because once Grant Morrison leaves, it goes back to Adjectiveless X-Men, and New X-Men becomes, or New Mutants becomes New X-Men. Oh my gosh, who was it earlier that said X-Men is confusing? I take it back what I said. It is confusing. New Mutants becomes New X-Men, but it's not the X-Men, right? It's the kids from the New Mutants teams by Nunzio and DePhillips. So I think that's when they're gonna be like, okay, what are we gonna do for future volumes after after Morrison leaves? Or is that going to be it? They're going to do what, 3 volumes of these and call it a day?
I have a strong suspicion these are just reskinned complete collections or ultimate collections, whatever it was called at the time.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure the contents are the same. I can't imagine. I think yes to all that. And I think the interesting thing will be, this is a modern era epic collection, but does that mean they'll also call Austin's Uncanny Run modern? Because it seems like on a lot of the other collections, modern, they are, yeah. Because a lot of the other moderns are like 2004 and later. So I guess 2001 is where modern starts for X-Men, and it makes an amount of sense. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Because to me, epics are phenomenal. You know, I joke a lot about how omnis are superior, epics are inferior, but Curtis isn't here to defend that. Because epics make it so simple for you to go, okay, I want to read X-Men. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's some adjectiveless X-Men series that happens to be in my Uncanny Epic. Interesting. Because we've had, you know, they don't confuse you as much as like the omnis, where we have the X-Men volumes 1 and 2. And then we have Uncanny X-Men volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They did such a good job. And I thought that's how you collect X-Men. And then you get to this series, this era, and it's like, okay. And I already saw it in the chat. When does New X-Men take place? Is it before or after Astonishing? And that's the problem with labeling it something like this. Like, I know you can't keep calling it Uncanny X-Men Modern Era, right? There's no way you're going to. And X-Men is going to sell, so it's okay to have different lines. And honestly, different lines probably means we'll get more X-Men. At the end of the day, X-Men fans are going to be happy. I just think from a reader's perspective, it can get a little bit confusing when you get to a particular era of New X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, and it's like single issues again, and you're like, okay, what do I read? What goes
I kind of hope that on the back cover they have like a legacy number that would be the next issue, and then if they wanted to be like, this is like New X-Men 1, but it's reading order like volume 28 or something. That would be like the best case.
If I was the editor of this collection line, I think that I would have that Mutant Massacre style map on the inside.
You love that map.
I love that map because it's how comics work. It's not always
you're
sequential,
absolutely right.
And I would keep one line that was the spine, and it would still be the X-Men modern line, and it would start with Austin, but then after New X-Men merges out of New X-Men and back to adjectiveless, I would start interweaving them again. And I would just always show the list of the main X-Men ones, and then there would be branches. Start New X-Men here, finish New X-Men here, start Astonishing here, because there's also going to be Academy X, there's also going to be the 2008 X-Force, there's a lot of stuff to the side of this, but I think if Marvel's smart, they will keep one kind of like tower of a main run that keeps up with the Uncanny, and then they will just show these as branches. That would be, I think, I mean, that's how I do it in my reading order and have for the past 14 years. So I think that's the smart way to do it.
I think it's going to be really interesting once we get to the end of Astonishing, the end of New X-Men and the beginning of what you said, like the Colin Yost New X-Men that then evolved into X-Force. And then what they're going to do with Ecstatics. This is why I wish Curtis was here so he could be a little more confused when he's like, you're right, X-Force does evolve into Ecstatics. Do you keep that in the X-Force Epic Collections? No. A little more simpler times, but Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, The Return of the Sinister Six, not to be confused with The Revenge of the Sinister Six, but collecting Amazing Spider-Man 334 to 350 and Spider-Man Spirits of the Earth. If you have the issues by Eric Larson, the Omnibus by Michelini and Larson, that does contain all of this, with the exception of Spider-Man Spirits of the Earth. That graphic novel's not there, but they did release it in oversized hardcover. I think it's called Spider-Man, the graphic novels. I'm not sure if my buddy Aaron is here or not. He would know. After Astonishing, it will be super hard for them to omnibize X-Men to a Messiah complex with all the stuff, including Avengers, X-Men, and Utopia. I think that's when the event omnis are going to have to come in.
I mean, Necrosha happens in between there, right? Because they could just do Necrosha epics.
They could do, I mean, that could be looped into the X-Force epics.
True.
Jess, are you sure you want to map those books? I think you're going to get a bigger headache when Peter's done. You're going to be like, what?
I'm going to allow him to mix formats, and I will take a picture of it, and then I'll go back and stick everything back in their proper format, but I'll have it written down because there's OHCs in the middle of trades and stuff. So I just want a reading order that I'll take a picture of, and then I'm just going to jam everything back into. No, that doesn't make sense. I'll figure it out with Peter Tuesday night.
I can't wait. I can't wait till after all the hours of work that came to rebuilding this and reshuffling your shelf, and you spending so much money and years collecting these books. You read the first book and you're like, "This sucks." I'm never reading another X-Men book again.
I will be sad if that happens.
Please text me if that happens. The Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Modern Era Epic Collection, another one that kicks off in a really obvious place, which is the Ed Brubaker era. So I guess that means, yeah, the Robert Kirkman stuff, that will be all part of the classic modern. But this stuff is the Modern Epic collection. Collecting Captain America 1 through 17 and Director's Cut #1 and Captain America 65th Anniversary Special, 472 pages, $44.99. It's a phenomenal story. It's been collected in omnibus format. It's been collected in complete collections, trade paperbacks, standard size hardcovers. I think my wife is the only person that did not dig this run. And she didn't dig it. She was like, it's okay. Yeah. Now, I don't hold this one near and dear to my heart like I do Starman. Like, Starman is a strike 1 against. That's a strike. And she gets 3. There was another thing that she didn't dig that I was like,
She didn't dig Starman?
Oh, no, man. We did a whole video. Like, it broke my heart.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no. What else did she didn't dig? She didn't dig Darwin Cook's New Frontier either.
Oh,
she thought it was okay. And I'm like, Darwin Cook is just okay. That's what you're saying.
Thank goodness she's the mother of your children, or you might be out shopping, right?
Yeah. Right? Defenders Epic Collection, Enter the Headman, Volume 2. Defenders issues 12 through 25, Giant Size Defenders 1 through 4, Marvel 2-in-1, 6 and 7, plus material from Mystery Tales 21, World of Fantasy 11, and Tales of Suspense #9. Oh, I was wondering, Aaron, if that is the Spider-Man, the big deluxe edition called the Spider-Man, the graphic novels that contains Spirits of the Earth. 464 pages, $44.99.
You could ask me. I say yes, it does. It's right here.
Bro, your girl's a scroll. She might be. The Melanie actually, she did like the Phoenix Saga. She did like this. That was the saving grace for her. The marriage counselor has a field day.
Oof.
So where did your issues begin? When my wife said she did not like Starman. That's where we started having.
Began with Uncanny X-Men issue 129,
actually. Defenders Epic Collection. So this one's 464 pages, $44.99, and Captain Marvel by Margaret Stoll, and collecting the Mighty Captain Marvel 0 through 9, Captain Marvel 125 to 129, Generations Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel, The Life of Captain Marvel 1 through 5, 488 pages, $44.99. For the people that are wondering, what is this? When is this? This is the stuff that happens between the Kelly Sue DeConnick era and the Kelly Thompson era of Captain Marvel.
There's a little bit before in between, but yes, fundamentally, yes.
But this is everything that she wrote, right? Like Margaret Stoll wrote?
Yeah.
Directly prior to our good friend Kelly Thompson.
So that one is $44.99, 488 pages. And then Peach Momoko's Demon Days is coming out in a graphic novel trade paperback. So this is a digest size book. Inglorious what? Whoa. Yeah, I was gonna say that they're doing the manga route, right? And now it's coming out in glorious black and white.
Look at that H1 sized header. They want to make sure Omar didn't miss it on the stream.
You make sure to
Bigger
say that
than the
Omar.
actual title of the book.
That's just so shocking because the colors in that book are so striking.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see it in black and white because I really love her art, and I'm curious how black and white would look. Demon Days X-Men, Demon Days Mariko, Demon Days Cursed Web, Demon Days Rising Storm, and Blood Feud, and material from King in Black #4 and Elektra Black, White, and Blood. So this is Demon Days minus the color. 192 pages, $13.99. And again, the trim size is that of a Tonkobon, right? Like the digest size books, the smaller size books. What? Always an instigator. I knew you had no soul. I don't get the Momoko hype. Oh, man.
No soul.
Always an instigator. Has
Confirmed.
no soul.
Confirmed.
X-Men, the animated series, feared and hated. This is another one that's in digest size. 200 pages and $13.99. X-Men Adventures 1 through 8. It seems like, before we talk about this, quick word from our sponsor, and that is waltzcomicshop.com. They're based out of Berlin, Germany. They have flat shipping rate for 12 euros for all EU countries. Bulletproof packaging. Emails answered within 24 hours. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com. And if you tell them Near Mint Condition, type it in all in one word at the checkout. You get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over 40 euros or more. That's Waltz Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ting, as my wife likes to say. Okay. So Peter, Oddfell, and OmniDog, you all know that DC is releasing the digest size books, right? Like the summer. They're kicking it off with, I can't remember what they're, does anybody in the chat remember? They're not essentials. It's something like that. Like some kind of edition, but they have things like Watchmen that are going to be collected in there. We talked a little bit about it.
That's gross.
I feel like it works really well for the kid-centric books, but I'm surprised they're doing it for like all of them.
Well, Curtis mentioned something really important. He was like, well, if you think about it, probably most people going to college would probably have those. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. There's probably something there. But it's interesting the route that, Marvel is approaching the digest size, and the route that they've approached the digest size for years seems to be a lot more kid friendly. Like anytime you see a Marvel-verse collection of somebody like Miles Morales or Spider-Man or Venom, it's always like important issues, like first appearances, origin issues, here's a Spider-Man adventure that kind of summarizes what happens. And Spider-Man adventures are based on the cartoon. So it seems like that's the kind of target audience they have for these smaller books. Even Demon Days, which had a little bit, I mean, it's not, I assume it's rated. Let me see if it's 18 plus. Yes, it's rated 18 plus because of the artwork. It has that manga flair to it. And compacts, thank you so much. The DC Compact Edition.
Interesting.
So it's interesting to see how they're going. Like they're going two different ways, right? Like Watchmen, and then you've got X-Men, the animated series.
Well, isn't that really indicative of how different the bookshelf readers are for Marvel and DC, right? Like DC, the whole point of us doing the evergreen streams is like DC's really good at figuring out what people want to read over and over again and just putting it out in short, digestible packages tuned to what people want in that time, whether that's a trade paperback, an absolute, a compact edition, right? We've heard from Curtis many times, librarians love the compact editions, the digest size, and DC didn't really have anything in that line other than their recent OGN. So like, yeah, it does make sense that DC would evergreen a number of titles into that new format. On the Marvel side, Marvel people tend to be much more Marvel zombie, buy everything. And I think that it's been interesting to see what they put in the digest size. It's not just the verse books that you're talking about, right? We also have the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, which your kids love. And all of the kind of young champions, young Avengers series have all gone into those digest reprints. Yeah. They did for Kate Bishop,
Strange Academy,
Spider-Gwen, Strange Academy, Miles, Unstoppable Wasp, Moon Girl. They did those digest size reprints for everything. I get the sense Marvel likes to do it when the run is already existing, already mapped. They're not gonna have to make kids and librarians wait a long time for it. They can just like put them on a schedule and knock them out, but it's never going to be a primary collection format. And which kind of makes sense if you think about the way Marvel is marketed and the way that Marvel books come out. So I don't think the digest side's ever going to like supplant the original releases the way that they originally released the Gurihiru power packs in digest size in the mid 2000s direct to digest. I would be surprised to see anything go direct to digest from Marvel, but I think it's a good strategy to like anything that's digestible, fun to pick up on the shelf, and instantly readable to like make that digest size. And I think doing the animated series comics fits right in with that.
I can answer this question. So Omar, why are they making graphic novel size books of stuff coming out now, like Strange Academy and Reptile, don't have regular size thin trades. And that has to do with the Scholastic and book fairs.
Right.
That Strange Academy sold so well in the book market because of the digest size and compact and the look of the book. And I mean, eventually we did get like semi-complete collect. Oh no, they're called Year 1 and Year 2. But yeah, I remember asking that question, and it was because of the sales of those digest size books in the Scholastic Fair and book market. So that was great. Like, I'm glad, kids are buying comics. That's important.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say, like,
eventually we'll get an omnibus. Go ahead, Arthel.
Oh, I was going to say, like, when we had the kids section at the comic shop I worked at, like, if they weren't like the floppy individual issues, they were all pretty much digest sized, whether it was like the Piccolo graphic novels or like the offshoots for DC or these, and it was right next to the manga shelves. And I think largely it's because kids are very gravitated towards not only that format, but towards anime. So it was kind of an easy way for them to be like, oh, I'm looking at manga, and here's all of the comics that are in the same format right next to it. And a lot of them are also leaning into that manga style as well, with the art that are aiming towards those original graphic novels that are in the Marvel and DC universes.
I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely geared towards kids, which made me really curious about the compact size DC books.
I've got a problem with Watchmen being solicited at Scholastic book fairs.
Well, I don't think it'll be Scholastic's book fairs. I think you'll definitely see it in college campuses.
Well, that's fine. I definitely do not. I will stand on the soapbox forever about Watchmen because it helped bring me back into comics. But if that thing has got mature themes that I just have a future, looking into the future. If this gets, I don't know, Walmart, it gets put in the children's section or something, I just have a bad feeling about some of the mature content in that book.
You already have Berserk, the deluxe edition, in the kids section of manga at Walmart.
They wrap it in plastic.
I was freaking out. I was like, I never thought I would see this like at Walmart. Yes, I can buy guns and diapers at Walmart if you don't live in your life. Which is insane.
I guess.
So
sure.
Why, like Berserk Deluxe Edition is there.
Well, and they wrap mature mangas in plastic wrap so kids can't just go open them. So it'll be interesting to see as they move into more mature digest sizes if we'll see a trend of those books wrapping in plastic so they don't get mixed in.
And a sticker on it saying mature content or something.
Oh, yeah, because that will stop the kids like myself.
No, I'm worried about the parents, not the kids.
Oh,
kids
yeah, the parents.
I'm worried about the parents.
The parents we got to worry about. You're right, though.
Yeah, exactly.
We had Watchmen in my class in middle school.
Wow. That's I have to think that's a pretty progressive middle school.
Wow.
Well, the first time I read
really cool
Watchmen
teacher.
Was in middle school, so it's weird to say that, right? Like looking back and being like, oh wait, I was in middle school. Now that I'm a parent, it's like looking at things a little bit different. Like, I don't know if my kid's old enough for that. But I mean, it depends on the maturity level of the child, right?
Yeah.
Well, and also I feel like it's different talking about specific kids, like your kids versus the general kid, right? Like, could my kid read Watchmen? Like, with a little bit of guidance, yeah. She's only 10. I don't know if it would be a number one choice for her. But, like, there were 10-year-olds reading it when it came out, and she's been reading Claremont X-Men for the past 5 years of her life. Would I want all 10-year-olds in her class to read Watchmen? Probably not.
Yeah. It's not the kids again that I'm worried about.
Yeah, it's the adults that hear about it from the kids afterwards.
Well, yeah, and this is how you start. People start banning books in libraries, which is the case that happened with Mouse.
It's always an instigator. When I was in 8th grade, I wrote a serious academic paper, one of my best academic papers as a 13-year-old, about Frederick Wortham's Seduction of the Innocent and why comic books were like outlawed. And
you were so ahead of your time. Look at you.
So yeah, I mean, I think 8th graders can handle difficult stuff. You're 9 from those of you in New Zealand.
8th grade parents that I don't trust.
Yeah.
Another month without Mighty Marvel Masterworks. They're not canceled. They will be back. I promise. I read Watchmen when I was 12. I didn't like it, but it wasn't worse than what I was already watching on TV. I think you get a little bit older. You start appreciating the stories more. I think my problem with V for Vendetta was I read it way too young. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I was like, wow, this is a really good damn book. And how did I miss all these things when I was, because I'd only read it, like, this is the third time I read it, was just this last year. I'd only read it when I was like a teenager. I was like 14, 15 when I read it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. What's wrong with these colors? There's so many words. And then I tried to get in the 20s when I bought the trade paperback, and I was like, yeah, still don't get it. It's interesting.
I don't follow anybody or do anything on Facebook, but upper management showed me your post yesterday on Facebook about how your daughter at 14 already had mapped out all her AP classes and stuff for her junior and senior year. And at 14, you were wondering how Magneto pulled the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine.
I swear to God, dude, it was we'll look at the solicits here in a second again. It was me. My daughter pulls up her laptop. She's like, Poppy, what do you think? And I'm looking at the spreadsheet. She's got it broken down by year, AP classes, and she's like pointing at them. She's like, this one here is going to give me college credit hours, but I can take this one here instead and get double college credit hours. And I'm like, she's 14 years old, a freshman, right? And I'm like, oh my God, at this point in my life, Fatal Attractions had just come out. That's all I was worried about. I was like, how's Wolverine gonna go into battle against a dude that manipulates magnets or metal? What the hell? Oh man.
I love, your post was hilarious and just pointed out a great difference, but also how self-aware you are and how sort of in wonder and amazement at how self-aware she is and where she wants to go. I thought it was a good post, and it was funny, of course, as always.
Thank you for that, Jess. Thank you. I just feel like I needed to share with the world where my thought was, and she's looking at me, and all I keep thinking about was like, oh my God, when I was 14, none of this was on my mind.
No, classes were the last thing on my mind.
Sixth grade, I read a Holocaust story that had a lot of death and heartbreaking events called The Number of the Stars. For school, kids can handle dark stuff, but I think it also depends on demographics. It's also true.
Yeah, we had to read that book. It's very, very heavy. Mm-hmm. It's a very heavy book. I also read it in middle school.
All right, let me do a quick little recap, and then we'll pick our favorite book. Godzilla, the original Marvel years, is coming out. All 3 covers. This is your standard one that is just freaking mind-blowingly crazy. I love that book. That cover. Spider-Man by Michelini and Larson Omnibus, your standard edition cover and your direct market cover. $100, 888 pages. Spider-Man, the complete Black Costume Saga Omnibus. And this one here is $125, 992 pages. Thor by Donny Cates and Nick Klein Omnibus. And Torunn Grønbekk, $125, 1,040 pages. And Moon Knight by Jed MacKay Omnibus by Greg Capullo, the covers by Greg Capullo, and the Arthur Adams covers, the direct market cover, $100, 832 pages. Captain America, the reprint of Omnibus Volume 2, is coming out at 824 pages, $100. Marvel Masterworks Ghost Rider Volume 6. And this one here is $75, 304 pages, and it's the only Marvel Masterworks this month, or the solicits. Marvel Studios The Art of Loki, Season 2, NYX Gallery Edition. This is $50, 392 pages. And Star Wars The High Republic Phase 3, Volume 1, Children of the Storm is coming out. And we also have Venom. This is Volume 6 by Al Ewing and Torunn Grønbekk, who's setting up her new Venom run. Spider-Woman, which I think is a mini-series. And this is by Steve Fox, Volume 1, Gang War. And Dark X-Men, The Mercy Crown, with maybe or maybe not Albert. That kind of breaks my heart. Is LCD in? Don't say anything. The Uncanny Spider-Man Fall of X is coming out. And then we're getting a trade paperback of Sins of Sinister, $50, 344 pages. And Realm of X, X-Force by Benjamin Percy, Volume 9. The Avengers by Jed MacKay, Volume 2, Twilight Dreaming. Thunderbolts, and this is World Strike. Hawkeye, the Modern Epic Collection, Volume 1, The Reunion, and the Thor by JMS. This is the Thor Modern Era Epic Collection. New X-Men, Modern Era Epic, E is for Extinction, and the Amazing Spider-Man reprint of the Return of the Sinister Six Epic Collection. Captain America, the Modern Era Epic Collection, Winter Soldier, and the Defenders Epic Collection Volume 2. A lot of epics. Volume 2. Captain Marvel by Margaret Stoll. And the digest size Peach Momoko's Demon Days in black and white. And X-Men, the animated series, Feared and Hated. Oddfell, ladies first. What's one book, and anybody from the chat, that you're most excited about from this particular stream or this catalog?
Probably Moon Knight. It was something I was reading in individuals as it came out, so I will probably pick that up because it's nice to have the whole thing in one. So that's the one I'm probably most excited for.
It's great. So great.
And Omnidog, what about you, buddy? What are you most excited for?
This is actually a hard choice for me because this is the first stream of these solicits in a long time where I'm excited about 6 or 7 books. I don't know. I guess Thor by Cates, because I haven't read any of it, and I'm interested in all of it. But like the Marvel Masterworks Ghost Rider, Moon Knight by McKay Omni, that Captain Marvel by Stoll, which is the gap filler, Uncanny Spider-Man, Thunderbolts, and even though Oddfell's kind of not sure about it, same with Peter, Dark X-Men, it sounds interesting to me. So there's a lot, and I'm actually considering that NYX Gallery edition because I lost No Way Home in the flood, the standard hardcover, and I haven't had it in forever. So that's a long way of saying there's a lot in this.
Wow, there's a lot for you.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about a lot, but I will go with Thor by Cates.
Thor by Cates. Okay. Peter, my friend, how about you?
I mean, I'm scrolling through this, and I think I can't say a single bad thing about anything in this whole catalog. And there's a lot of stuff in here I really, really love. Not a lot I'm going to pick up physically because a lot of it exists in the digital world. I'm absolutely going to buy that Godzilla Omnibus. I really hope we get it in Epic too, but I'm not going to pass up the chance to have it. And of course, I'm going to pick up the Defenders Epic because I collect all of the classic epics, as you can see on one of the shelves behind me. But I mean, you could scroll back to any page in this, and I probably could sell somebody on the book on that page. This is a really strong month for Marvel, and I think it kind of puts a lie to this idea of like Marvel's not that great right now. People are off of Marvel. It's just the publishing strategy of all these miniseries. Scroll back through and like think about how many of these are miniseries runs and how few of these are ongoing runs, and it's really confusing for a reader, which is like part of why we do these streams. But the content is pretty great.
Are you gonna do a job selling me on Godzilla like you did on selling me on Phoenix volumes 1 and 2?
I'll say this. I have not read every issue of Godzilla. I'm excited from it at a concept. Like I know some of the issues because I've had to hunt them down for reading order purposes. And I love them. I love that it's like, I love any book where the main character is this kind of off-panel villain, although Godzilla is very on-panel, but it's not like you're reading it from Godzilla's perspective. It's from the perspective of everybody dealing with Godzilla, and I love when a book does that. That's like one of my little, favorite conceptual things. So, it's 24 issues of the Marvel Universe trying to wrangle Godzilla. Like, come on. What is cooler than that?
With not Nick Fury, but Dum Dum Dugan at the helm, leading a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. teams. I do remember the issue with Ant-Man where he shrinks in the rat. But we also have like new characters, like new kaiju, right? Like Batragon and Yetrigar. That's the other one. It's a good choice. And it's definitely one that probably won't see. I don't know.
Yeah, I just really hope they get it out in paperback too. I'll buy both.
I want that. If I get it, that's the cover I want right there with.
Well, that'll be the one that probably be easier to find.
I friggin' love the red background cover. It's
That's
just so fun and classic.
yeah. I love him going after the Golden Gate Bridge, though. That just looks amazing.
There's a really, is that the issue? There's like the event. There's one where the Avengers are in the Quinjet and he's like in some bay or harbor, and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And that's just like what I always think about when I think about this series.
I do know that I remember when I was a kid, like, and these issues would be at comic book stores. I was like, that Godzilla doesn't breathe fire. What is that? I don't know if I was
the artist on this on the Godzilla
book
tears
itself?
the Golden Gate Bridge down.
It's Herb Trempe,
Oh, it is
Tom Sutton.
No, you mean the direct market or the modern?
the direct market one.
Yeah, both of the direct market covers are Herb.
I'm sorry. I apologize. The standard one with the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, I had to Google how to say his name when I announced it.
Oh, please try again.
Yoon Yoon.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Covers by Yoon Yoon. Okay, and
Yeah.
Herb Trimpe.
Yeah, this one
That's
here.
a boss cover.
Yeah,
That's
covers-
really cool.
I wish it was full bleed and it didn't have that frame on it.
The frame?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm an
Yeah.
aesthetic.
Oh, I thought it was the background.
Yeah,
No, you're right. It is.
Gives it a classy look to your
it
omnibus.
does. It has like kind of like that Masterworks effect of giving it a little bit.
Oh,
of
yeah.
yeah.
For me, I got to go with Spider-Man, the complete black costume saga. That was one of my favorite announcements. It's one of those books that's going to cause chaos here in a couple of years when I get to announce.
It's already
Amazing
fun
Spider-Man-
chaos in the chat.
Amazing
already
Spider-Man
happening.
Omnibus volume. This stuff would be what? Volume 7, 8, probably? Yeah. And how much double dipping there's going to be. And, but I know how everybody, or I don't know how everybody else thinks. I know how my dumbass thinks. And I'm like, oh, well, I have to have it now. I'll just sell it when the other one comes out. This is the way I would do it. It doesn't make any sense, like at all. It makes zero sense why I think like that. But if it was X-Men, like I had to, like somebody was asking my opinion, should he wait on Mutant Massacre volume, which will be collected in Uncanny X-Men volume 6, or should he get Mutant Massacre now? And I said, well, I know what I would do. And since you asked me, I would buy Mutant Massacre. And then when volume 6 comes out, you can sell it or keep both. And I would keep both because I'm an idiot. So are you sure you want my opinion?
That's just I can think of so many comic readers in my life who like read comics in the 80s and 90s casually and have fun
Reader
memories.
names were so much easier to pronounce in the 20th century when they were all white dudes.
I
beg to differ, Bill Sienkiewicz.
think he's being sarcastic, I hope.
Job Buscema.
I still can't say any of those correctly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just saying that I know so many people who were casual comic readers in the 80s and 90s who would probably gobble that black costume omnibus up.
Thank you for that, Paulie Lopez. I had your back during the Evergreen Omni stream. Evangelist was proud of you for putting a business book on there. Yeah, sometimes I surprise myself.
I love how that one still is living on.
And yeah, people were bringing it up on the Saturday stream. It was pretty funny. I was like,
it's the legacy now.
It was crazy. I'm gonna have to share that list with David one day. Omar, did you say at the beginning you have 2 more Omnis left to announce? No, 2 reprints left to announce, and calling it a day. That's why I have to I've scheduled it out. I just have to wait for Marvel to approve the schedule. So we shall see. Moon Knight, bought the trade paperbacks, haven't read them. Spoken like a true fan. There we go. Man knows what's up. I bought the trades. I haven't read them.
It is so good.
It's fantastic, yeah.
X-Men Modern Era Epic and Demon Days Black and White. Rahul. Defenders Epic. So let me see. Alien costume. That was the original name, little behind the scenes. And then David said, note the change when he sent me the final list. Note the change in the title. The change in the title is now the Black Costume Saga. Defenders Epic, Spider-Man Alien Costume Omni, Moon Knight hype, Thor by Cates, Klein, and Torun. Moon Knight, Godzilla, X-Men Animated Series, Sins of Sinister, some good stuff coming out. Hawkeye Epic, Thor by Cates, Moon Knight in the alien costume, considering Thor by Cates, but just haven't read any of it. It did start off really fun. And keep in mind, this is after the end of Jason Aaron's Thor run, where you see Thor, like, you know, looking a lot more like Odin. But there's a reason why he looks this way now. And it's all explained in the first story arc. Amazing Spider-Man, The Return of the Sinister Six reprint for my buddy Aaron. Godzilla. Can't decide on which of the alien. Oh, Web of Spider-Man 1. That's just me, though.
They're both cool.
This is an iconic cover, right? This very iconic cover. But oh gosh, that Web of Spider. I remember when I was a kid looking at that cover.
And just the impact of that, like on the stands, you know, like there weren't a lot of Charles Vest caliber covers from Marvel.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, not that I don't love so many Marvel covers from that era, but DC was much more the brand that would have that kind of cover than Marvel.
We have a couple of questions about these Omnis, so let me get to this. What does the Moon Knight Omni collect? It collects Moon Knight 1 through 30, Devil's Reign Moon Knight Annual 1, and material from the 2023 Annual and Avengers 35. Does the Spider-Man Michelinie Larson pick up where the Michelinie McFarlane Omnibus ends? Yes. Yes. Both the adjectiveless Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man. It is missing, oh goodness, issue 17, which is an Infinity Gauntlet. Is it Gauntlet or War? Oh goodness. You know, you want to talk about, Peter, where Thanos is holding him up?
Thanos.
He's got him in his hand.
Thanos.
I think it's 17. If you look up Spider-Man 17, or maybe somebody can. That's the one that's not collected in there because that wasn't done by neither McFarlane nor Eric Larson. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Thanos is holding him in his hand.
While we're here, it's important to note that Moon Knight also contains that Avengers issue, because the whole Moon Knight bounces out of that Age of Khonshu thing in Avengers. Oh, yeah. And if you don't have that as reference, it helps to have that Avengers issue. And so I'm glad to see they stuck that in there, because actually it's a whole event within Avengers, a mini event.
Oh, Curtis got a flat tire.
Oh, no.
That's why he couldn't
be worried about our friend.
So I said, you should have stayed on. We could have watched you change the tire. That's what kind of friend I am. All right, now I am caught up with the chat. Moon Knight. Lots of love for Moon Knight. The Vest cover made me think that Web was more of a mature series. I actually thought that too. Fun fact from Christopher Priest, Web of Spider-Man #1 cover was not well liked in the Marvel offices at the time. People were worried, saying it was too artsy. I can see that too. They really were experimenting a lot with covers then. All of Aaron's Avengers is mini events. Sorry, I joined late.
That's a fun way to think about it. I mean, some of us beat up on Aaron's Avengers, but you know, there's something to be said for somebody who writes a run as if every arc is a main event-wide or a line-wide event, and it's that big. I mean, isn't that what Avengers should be? Isn't that often what we think good runs of Justice League are?
Yeah.
Mini events? Yeah. I can see that. Yes, the new Epic announcements will be next week, next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. if I can get Curtis on at the same time. We haven't agreed on a time. Did I miss the modern Scarlet Witch solicit, or would you just be announcing it? We haven't mapped it. That's where we left Met by X, Peter and Onfel.
Hey, listen, I have the next Omni mapped out already.
Oh, you're ready?
Let's go.
Right. I did 2 sheets because I didn't know how back-to-back we'd do them, so I just mapped it at once.
If that ever gets announced, you are honor-bound to have Oatville and Scarlet Witch cosplay in the announcement video. Okay?
Oh, such a good idea.
I'll drive her myself to Kentucky just for that.
As far as Scarlet Witch with the fingers being like, all right, Minty.
It's time.
People have been asking me if we could go back to the Map My X, and I said, yeah, I could definitely check with everybody.
But don't you want to see us fight each other on the Evergreen show instead?
We fight each other no matter what stream we're on.
It is really fun.
This is true. Map My X returns when? It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and that's how we all kind of became really good friends. And I don't know, but maybe sometime in 2024 we can do it, because the next thing we're doing is on February 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the DC Evergreen list. Well, where I will have the smartest people available to be on the panel. So none of these folks will be there.
I'm waiting for that shoe to drop.
My real fans. I'm gonna redo the Marvel Omnibus Evergreen with those guys. Map Uncanny 194 to 209. Man, we had a blast with that. Boy, we argued. Isn't it funny that in the end we were right? It came out in 2 different formats, which is insane. DC Evergreen list, friendships lost and betrayed. Yeah, Jess better bring none of that nonsense of Legion of Superheroes on that show.
Hey, I'm not the one that made Phoenix an Evergreen.
No, but you voted for it. I
voted for it, but I didn't bring it up.
I kept tabs on who voted for what.
Hey, when I submitted my list, you said it looked good. Okay.
Yes, because it was one of those. It's so cute. It looks good.
And it kicked out Uncanny. That's so great.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we can map Phoenix Volume 3. That would be fun. Still waiting for Jess's review of Berserk. He didn't dig it.
I read it, yeah, and sold it. There's my review.
Right away.
Sorry.
I learned my lesson when Black Cat got an Omni and gave away my paperbacks. McKay will get Omnis in the long runs. Fingers crossed for Strange soon. Is he done with Strange, or
no? Isn't it still ongoing?
Yeah, because I know
ending.
There was Strange, and then Doctor Strange, Death of Doctor Strange. That could all be collected in there. The Moon Knight.
Here's a question for Omar and gang and the chat. So McKay has kind of been christened as like he's the new go-to, right? We all are like, oh, a McKay Omnibus, awesome, a McKay Avengers. Who do you think the next writer in waiting is like that at Marvel right now? Because McKay was bubbling under for a while. Like it was people like Jess drumming up support during Black Hat to be like, this guy is awesome. That was my Jess impression. To get people really into it. And then he was on Moon Knight, and then you had Oatfeld, and it kind of built and built. So who is the next one? Who do you see that happening for? Me, I think it's Steve Fox. That's my wager.
Wow. You're thinking way, way, way ahead.
It's going to take some time, but I really think Fox has the chops to make a deep run into a lot of different comics. But I want to know what everybody else thinks. I'm really curious.
My goodness, this is really difficult because
this is really difficult.
I don't keep up with single issues. I read them in trade. And oh my gosh.
I'm seeing good ones in the chat, y'all.
I'm going to say
I like everyone so far.
I would love for my friend Torunn Grombeck to be the next one. That would be a good one because I really like her writing. I haven't read that.
Gotta pick up Carnage. Gotta support.
And but she writes a fun story. She writes badass characters, and she can be just as gritty and edgy as Garth Ennis. If you've read any of her war stuff, which
her Carnage is messed up.
Yeah, Melanie loves her Carnage. So I want to say that, but then I'm like, am I being biased because she's a genuinely cool person that like just talk to. Jim Zub needs his due too. Because I really feel
crushing it on Conan right now.
Oh my gosh, Conan is one of my favorite reads this year. It was so good. It's up there with Roy Thomas good. Like, but I feel like he's written so much for Marvel that nobody really talked about it. Like that Thunderbolt stuff that he did, not even this last round, but the previous round. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with Torunn Grombeck. So before Jim will get a Conan Omnibus one day. What about you all? I'll be right back, by the way. You all keep talking amongst yourselves. Damn, Warren Johnson.
Did your mom bring you lunch again? Your mom brought you lunch again?
No, I gotta go get my shake. I just the
She
guys at the door.
made you a shake. Okay.
I will. Oh my God, Jess! Just pick somebody.
I would probably say already at that point because she's been thrown on a lot of books lately. So I don't know.
It cut out when you said the name. Who did you
she's already started to really blossom into having her name on a lot of books. But I mean, almost every single one I've picked up, even if it's a book I don't usually like, has been great. Like, I did not expect to like her Deadpool nearly as much as I did.
Oh, this is Alyssa Wong. Okay.
Kelly Thompson.
Oh, Kelly Thompson.
Okay. We weren't sure. The name cut out. I mean,
you dropped out right when you said the name.
Kelly Thompson to me, she's GOAT in this house. I've been on Kelly Thompson's side back when she had a CBR column, a regular column. I backed her first Kickstarter. Like, I just think there's very few people in comics who do voices as well as Kelly Thompson. She doesn't really have a bad run of anything. She's good on everything.
I didn't like.
She's at DC now doing Birds of Prey. Marvel let that bird fly the cage, and now she's crushing it there. Plus, she had 2 amazing indie series last year: Black Cloak and The Call, with my favorite. What is his name? Help me. He does the super hyper photorealistic art. It's 3 names.
Greg Land.
No, that's my other favorite. He does The Call with Kelly Thompson. His name just popped out of my head. But yeah, so Kelly Thompson, no arguments here.
Yeah, not for me either.
I'm so hyped for her Birds of Prey. I'm so ready.
Iulius. I'm so bad at names. And I want to get them right and respect people. Mattia de Ulius, who did some Captain America.
Captain America.
Jessica. Yeah, he did Jessica Jones with Kelly Thompson. He's on. If you haven't read The Call from Image, really, really cool. Stranger Things vibes. She debuted it on her Substack, actually, which I am a subscriber to. Anyway, sorry, enough of Kelly Thompson super fandom.
No, I love her. I love her so much.
I love her.
I love everything she does. I'm happy to stand on the soapbox for her too.
I have to say, Alyssa Wong, their Daredevil was pretty funny. I don't love Alyssa Wong and everything, but I laughed the whole time. I laughed.
I've dug their Deadpool.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. The whole thing with Valentine and like the going on the little dates in between them getting beat up every issue was really funny.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Dr. Aphra they're writing, but I did really like. Deadpool's one of those characters that's, it's whenever somebody writes jokes in there, I usually roll my eyes, but no, Alyssa Wong's landed. I thought it was done well. Jess, what about you? Who's a name that you would love to see up and coming?
Well, yeah, I don't think Kelly Thompson's up and coming. I think she's already here. It's the only thing I have about her. But I love everything she's written. I don't know. Maybe I don't know that I'm like you, Omar, in that I read everything in trades or in collected editions, so I'm not that up to speed on a newer writer that I find out, like a year later after they've already written a bunch of good stuff. So I'm not sure.
But that's kind of the plus, right? Like we have Peter and Oddfell to tell us, like, oh, by the way, be on the lookout for this. This is really good. Or you may not like this. Not that we have to necessarily agree with each other, because obviously we don't, according to the Evergreen list.
I like knowing what he said about what Peter said about what was your choice?
Steve Fox.
Steve Fox. Yeah. See, now I wouldn't know that until the collected editions
until this stream. I mean, this was like some of his first connections. I'll throw a couple other ones out there in the chat. Elon Reese mentioned Zoe Thorogood. If you've never
that's a good one.
She's not at Marvel, clearly, but if you've never read It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, fantastic. That was the first comic I read in 2024. I always try to pick something really cool to read first. Also, I'll throw in Dennis Camp, who did 20th Century Men. A lot of people love from Image.
Oh, I've heard a lot of good things about that.
he did the Children of the Vault series, which could have easily been titled Cable and Bishop. It would have sold better, which was really interesting. And I think I heard a little birdie on the Twitters mention that he's going to be doing the new Ultimates, maybe. So I think that's another one to keep an eye out for.
I like what Stephanie Phillips did with Harley Quinn, and I know she's writing something for Marvel too, I think now.
I feel like they're throwing Stephanie Phillips a lot of these kind of like out of continuity things or retcon series, or she did some of the Contest of Chaos annuals. She always comes through for me. I think she's got a really authentic connection to the characters, but they need to like put her on a run, like give her Black Widow, or like. Well, I guess Torrens going to be writing Black Widow.
Have you any of you read Reign? It's a story by what's his name, Joe Hill, but adapted into a comic. Oh my gosh, it's so good, and Zoe Thorogood does the art in it. It's published
her
Image. Yeah, big fan of her artwork.
Huge fan.
I really, and Lonely at the Center of. That was one of my favorite books last year. That was really good.
that was my number 2 book last year.
Jeremy Adams is solid. Would love to see him, what he could do at Marvel. Are you all fans of Joshua Williamson?
I am.
The stuff he did on Superman or Flash.
I like this Flash. I like everything he's written so far.
I think Williamson also, let me get my tongue in my mouth. I think Williamson often suffers from the thing that a lot of these kind of company men writers suffer from, is he's written so many long runs at this point that people just are annoyed by him and they're like, oh, he just pumps out stuff. But he writes runs that are internally consistent, that are fun to read, that make sense. And they know they can put him on like a 70-issue run, like his Flash, because he's going to have ideas, So like, there's something to be said for consistency. I know a lot of people hate on Tom Taylor, which I don't really get. Like,
what?
Yeah, does Taylor have his like go-to concepts sometimes? Yeah. Is he like kind of progressive for the sake of being progressive? Yeah, but so am I. But like Taylor comes through. He like plots good plots. They're fun comic books to read. I think that sometimes people want like a Hickman-sized revelation every month. Like sometimes you just need the middle story and an arc and for the issue to be decent, And there's something to be said for writers that can do that. And I think Williamson is one of those writers.
I will hear nothing bad said about Tom Taylor. I say nay.
They dunk on that man on the Twitters, and I'm like, back off. Off my Australian
get
man.
Off Twitter. That is crazy talk.
Yeah.
Wow.
That guy can drink.
Crazy.
Anyway,
I have to drink with him in New York. He was fun dude to hang out with, and I love everything that he's written. Just about. I can't think. He's another writer that. I can't think of a run that he's had or a mini series that I didn't dig. And I even like his independent stuff with John that one that was written for kids. It actually in Australia kind of
Neverlanders?
Yeah, Neverlanders. It's great. If y'all haven't read it, like that stuff is so good.
I will also say I feel like also, and I know she's over at DC now, but Teenie Howard's been cranking out solid stuff. Like her Catwoman was excellent. Excalibur was excellent. Despite kind of getting jostled in with all of the Krakoa stuff. I haven't read her Harley yet, but it's also been. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good. It's on the shelf somewhere right about here.
What did you say, Peter? I missed that.
This Teenie Howard with somebody fantastic, Nick Robles.
It's really good.
Art. It's from Black Crown, which was an IDW imprint, but it's very classic Vertigo feeling, very Sandman. Really, really cool. That's what kind of locked me in on Teenie Howard, where I'm like, who is this person? And also Nick Robles, who very rarely misses.
What's it called? Euthanauts? Euthanauts.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Page of books here.
Williamson and Taylor.
It's really good.
Jack Barry.
That's not worth it.
He paid $2 to make sure you would say that sentence, Omar.
Good grief.
He makes me say a lot of things I don't want to, except for Viva Peru, carajo. Oh, crumb. He'd make it over to New York Comic Con this year. I may have to go back then this year. I had a lot of fun at New York Comic Con the last couple of years. I got to hang out with Teenie Howard. I will say that the Excalibur is not one of my favorite things that she did.
Fair.
I do. There was another series that she did that I think it's just her way of writing that I just can't click with. Like, I feel like I'm missing elements of the story somewhere. And
her Excalibur did rely on having a lot of background knowledge, I will say. It was my favorite of the X titles to come out in that first wave, but also I feel like it was kind of like you had to kind of have your finger on the pulse of a lot of things.
That's kind of what I like about her in a way, is that every time she picks up a run, I really feel like she like fully did the homework, and she's not just, you know, when sometimes a writer gets on a run and it's like fun, but you're like, was this necessarily a Captain America story with an a Catwoman story, or did you just have this in your head as a story you wanted to do with some hero, and it's good and it's fun, but like, I think Teenie Howard gets onto a book and she's like, okay, I'm writing a story that I've always wanted to write for these characters. And I think that that's why sometimes people don't connect with her, because she doesn't always write runs that are like pick up a bowl. I really think like Strike Force was like that for me. She was dealing with stuff on Strike Force. I'm like, I don't know if I get that reference, Teenie. And that's hard, right?
Yeah.
But I think that I respect that hugely.
Oh, because some of it's deep cuts, like going back and oh my gosh, the character's name just left my brain. The spirit that possesses Polaris. Doing an entire
Malice.
like 2 issues.
Malice stuff was masterclass.
Malice stuff was masterclass. Like having Brian pick up the sword instead. Like some of it was just such interesting, like deep cuts or references or going back to things that were just, I don't know. You're right. She absolutely does the research, and that's what I love.
I haven't read her DC stuff. She's on Batman, right?
I know she's at least on Harley. I don't know if she's still on Catwoman, but she was, and it was really good.
Rainbow Rowell. Her She-Hulk was amazing. It's still amazing.
She's
so good.
She's a famous writer, though, right? Like an author, like a published author, right?
Yeah, she writes those books without pictures. I don't know if you've ever.
What are those called again? Boring? No.
Prosy?
Something. I used to read that stuff.
Whatever. Ain't nobody got time for books without pictures. There was the Fangirl. They made an adaptation, a manga adaptation of that book. My wife liked the book, and there was a manga adaptation that Viz put out. But yeah, her Runaways don't get a lot of love. Like, I don't hear enough people.
For me, they did. I made Jesse buy them. I bullied Jesse into buying. Jesse.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. We're looking at Jesse's shell.
Don't please.
He's writing a song for you. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did get those, and
some comics like that.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I know they're at the top of my stack. I promise. Because I loved her She-Hulk. Loved it. It was one of my top books of last year.
It's still ongoing.
I haven't read that yet.
The Savage She-Hulk is still going.
Yeah. I think they just renamed it. It was.
It got a second arc. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
I'm glad, because I really enjoy that series too. All right. Anything else left to discuss before we announce our next live video, which will be the list of DC Evergreen Omnis? We'll come in with the rule of 3 again and make 10. I know Peter wants to do Spider-Man Omnis. That would be really fun. And we talked about epics, and so many people in the chat suggested manga. That would be fun. I have to get Gio and Riley in for that, and my buddy Maddie and Tina. And what's up, Trumbo? How are you, my brother? Doral Bolt Omni Dog has evolved into Jesse. I like Jesse better.
Stop.
Jesse's a good name.
No. That is not my name. I've been dealing with
hairstyle to match that vibe. It's a lot of work. You have to have a totally different facial hair strategy to be a Jesse. It's,
Well, okay, so hold on a second. Somebody wrote, better see some Legion of Superheroes on that list. With Lars and freaking Jess on the stream, you can bet that there's going to be some boring Legion of Superheroes.
How dare you?
It's going to be like the freaking Silver Age, the death of Pharaoh Lad.
Oh my God, don't you ever say anything bad about Death of Pharaoh Lad. He saved the universe. All of the universe.
At this point, what superhero hasn't? Even Squirrel Girl did.
He gave his life to do it, okay?
Send in your DC Evergreen list to Marvel instead. At least you'll have you'll keep your connect. Oh, and I do have to figure out a way because James was telling me that there is a way to keep to get the chat to vote for like an extra book. I think that would be really fun. Like
The chat should absolutely get to pick like book number 11. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
the chat can pick book number 11, but I got to figure out a way to do that, you know, to see how much work there is ahead of time. But thank you everybody for joining us today. This was a lot of fun as always. I love doing this with people, and hopefully Curtis is okay and got his tire changed. And smash that like button on the way out. Check out cheapgraphicnovels.com. They're based out of the US. And if you tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way, you get free shipping on your next order after your first one. Now, before they go, where can these wonderful people be found? We'll start over there with Peter.
Hey, everybody. I'm Crisis with a K everywhere on the internet. My home on the internet since August 26th. 2000. It's crushingcrisis.com, where I have guides to the Marvel Universe, some of DC and Indie as well. I've done so much cool stuff in the past month. I got into the beginning of Action Comics, all of Aliens comics ever, an Explainer, a Miracle Man, and just this week, every Thundercats comic ever. Did you know they had a 129 issue series at Marvel UK? So if you like consuming your comics reviews and thoughts in text, find me at crushingcrisis.com. And if you want to see moving pictures, then I will be back on this wonderful channel sometime soon.
Adorable. If Curtis hadn't been talking to us, he would have hit the
porcupine.
He lives in Canada. He hit a moose. Jess, what about you, buddy?
You can find me, OmniDog, and OmniDog's Vault on YouTube, OmniDogs_Vault on Instagram, and Tuesday will be Reorg My Ex live with the fabulous Crisis. Thank you. Peace and love.
And Oddfell, what about you?
Yes, I'm Oddfell. I am a cosplayer as well as I do statue and toy unboxings on YouTube sometimes. I need to get back into a good rhythm with that. But if you like cosplay stuff, I post that over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all of those. And my username is always just Oddfell, except on Twitter where it's with a 0 instead of an O. But everywhere else, it should be spelled just like this with a normal O.
Okay, and I am the
Peter
Uncanny
needs
Omar.
to get off Twitter immediately. You shouldn't be subjecting yourself to anything against Tom Taylor. That's not going to help you in 2024.
Twitter, I feel like, is made for arguments. Honestly, like Twitter is just.
Yeah, it can't be good for you, Peter. I
think the internet's made for arguments. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. I'm out of here until the next one tomorrow or tonight. I can't remember.